What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back. Can you believe we are just 9 days from the NFL draft? I can barely contain my excitement at this point. I hope you guys are just as hyped up as I am. A couple of orders of business before we hop in here to my top 10 sleepers for the 2020 NFL draft. Please do drop a like down below. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I will do my top 10 busts in this class as well. Also, I know there's a lot of great draft analysts out there that'll be doing content during the draft, so I would be honored if you did decide to join me here on YouTube for the first night of the draft, and then over on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/thatfranchiseguy for day 2 and 3 of the draft, getting my live reactions and analysis. And if you want to find out who are some other sleepers in this class, what other players do I like, full player profiles on over 600 players in this class, as well as exclusive film breakdowns and team-specific 7-round mock drafts. That is all available on the full TFG Draft Insider package on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/thatfranchiseguy. All right, let's hop into the top 10 sleepers. This is kind of in order of like impact of sleeper, you know, if guys are really being slept on, getting pushed into the late day 3, or if I'm just way higher on guys, or if I think they're just really, really freaking good players that have like all pro potential. You know, just I would say that this is in order of kind of the impact of how big of a sleeper they are. So starting at the bottom, Joe Reed, number 10. I really like this player. He's kind of that slot playmaker specialist, really good athlete, really outstanding after the catch, almost a running back after the catch. But I was actually impressed with his routes when they did ask him to go downfield, which was not very often, and it was his ball tracking skills in traffic, kind of those nice sideline catches where he sees the ball in naturally over his shoulder with bodies draped all over him. A rare trait for wide receivers. So I think there's some kind of untapped vertical potential here with Joe Reed. He was used on a ton of bubble screens, slants, all that kind of stuff, which I think he will succeed at the next level. But a guy that's kind of in that day 3, late day 3 range, I think early day 3, early 4th round. If you need a slot wide receiver, if you need a playmaker at the wide receiver position, I think he's going to be an excellent player, kind of in that Deebo Samuel, Randall Cobb range of impact at that slot wide receiver position. Then we got Tristan Jackson, so another wide receiver here, much different player than Joe Reed. My comparison for him is Darius Slayton, who was one of the sleepers in last year's class. He's kind of a, I guess, 2-trick pony. He's going to run slants and he's going to run go balls. Now, he could develop some comebacks, some ins, some outs. Maybe you do get him more involved in the catch and run game, but just a guy that you have to worry about as that vertical threat. He's got a very clean release off the line of scrimmage, and he showed that speed just on tape and then backed it up at the combine. So I know he's going to be a vertical threat, but he's really good at kind of faking out defenders, I guess you could call it, playing angles in order to get open on slants because of that deep threat as well. So I think a guy that could be a really solid kind of number 2 outside wide receiver. Ideally, he's probably your number 3 wide receiver target, but you know, that number 2 outside guy that just runs slants and go balls and really throws defenses off balance. And then number 8, a guy that I have been mocking in my first round that it's become very clear that I am high on, Matt Peart out of UConn. I do have a first round grade on him. I do have a higher grade on him than Mekhi Becton. I think his upside is similar. Becton a little bit higher, but I think Peart 2 years ahead of the curve. He is 2 years older, but I think you're projecting Mekhi Becton to get to a point where Matt Peart is as far as technique and understanding of blitzes and just, you know, being an offensive lineman is about being consistently good on a snap-to-snap basis. I think Matt Peart is going to give you that in the first round as a day 1 starter at right tackle. I think he could play left tackle as well. He's got the length you look for, the foot quickness. His drops are clean. He has better get off in the run game than Mekhi Becton. I think he's going to be a better outside zone blocker. So I really like Matt Peart. Not that I don't like Becton. It's just I was really impressed by Matt Peart. I do have a first round grade on him. I think if he is is a he will be a day 2 pick. I don't think he'll fall to day 3, but if he's a late 2nd round pick, early 3rd round pick, I'm looking at teams like the Packers in the 2nd round, the Bengals or Dolphins or whoever at the top of the 3rd round that all need offensive linemen. Absolute steal, would be one of the picks of the draft if that were to happen. Then the 7th sleeper here, JaMycal Hasty out of Baylor. And watching him remind me a ton of Aaron Jones, which is high praise, but do remember Aaron Jones was a 5th round pick coming out of UTEP. Hasty a little bit older, that redshirt senior, but this dude is so explosive. He does make guys miss. He does kind of run through those arm tackles because he's so explosive. I put this guy in an outside zone scheme. Maybe you even put him in Green Bay to back up Aaron Jones. San Francisco, they kind of have enough bodies there, but I'm looking at them, Tennessee, Minnesota, these teams that love that outside zone gap scheme. JaMycal Hasty could just dominate as a rookie if he did get that starting opportunity, but I look at him as a guy that can be kind of insurance for some of these faster backs like an Aaron Jones, like a Dalvin Cook, or even insurance for a Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Then my number 6 sleeper on the list, Jake Fromm. You knew he was going to be on this list. I just think he's one of the most, if not the most, disrespected players in this class. He doesn't have the arm strength of some of these other guys in this class. Of course, you've got Love and you've got, Tua. People think Tua has this great arm. I think Jake Fromm is just behind Tua as far as arm strength. And you got those Eason, Herbert guys. No, he doesn't have the arm that those guys have, but he is much more careful with the football. But it's not that he's this check down machine that I think is the number one most unfair criticism for Jake Fromm. He did take those vertical shots. He threw to the sidelines more than any quarterback in this class. He is just a great decision maker. He knows when to take risks. Now, he might have those physical limitations as far as his arm strength goes, but I think the other big criticism that he gets that I think is very unfair is that he's a pretty solid athlete. He does sense pressure. He does manipulate the pocket. He does run when he needs to. My comparison for him is Jimmy Garoppolo, who went in the 2nd or maybe even 3rd round to the Patriots. Physically speaking, I think Jake Fromm is pretty damn similar to Jimmy Garoppolo. His arm might be a touch weaker, but I saw some pretty damn nice throws from Jake Fromm on tape. And I think if he is going to fall into the 2nd round, which I think there are NFL teams that are still going to see him as a late 1st round guy, I think if you put him in the right spot, I'm looking at Indianapolis, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Saints, the Steelers, these great cultures. He might not be a 10-year franchise quarterback, truly elite guy, but look at what Jimmy Garoppolo has done for the 49ers. I don't know if he's an elite guy like I once thought he might be, but he's a top 10 to 15 quarterback that is just really steady and does everything right mentally for the most part. Yeah, he's going to have his flaws, so do pretty much every other quarterback in the league. So not a guy that you need to draft and say, this is our future. But you get a cheap quarterback for 5 years that opens up your cap space. I think he can play day one because of the high IQ he showed me. He could improve a few things mechanically, so he's a little more accurate. But, I'm a big fan of Jake Fromm to some of these teams that need an answer to their older quarterback. Or some of these teams that have a gaping hole because of all the quarterbacks that left. Teams like Carolina or even like Jacksonville, who's still trying to figure things out. So number 5 here is Devin Duvernay, a guy that I thought I was late to the game on Duvernay because I had kind of a debacle on my draft board. I didn't know he was in this draft class, but I was very familiar with who he is because he just pops whenever you watch Texas play football. And then he comes out at the combine, runs a 4.4. His tape is really nice. His hands are everything you want in a slot wide receiver. He adjusts to the ball really well. Even the best quarterbacks are going to sometimes throw the ball behind you when you're running a slant, and he is really fluid at kind of flipping his hips and tracking that ball behind him and continuing to run with it after, which from a slot position is extremely valuable. But when they did use him as a vertical guy, I thought he tracked the ball well. I think he has some nice shake at about the 10-yard mark where coming out of the slot, defenders don't know if he's running a post, if he's running an out, a corner, if he's going to stop and run a hitch. I think he can do all those things really well. He's not an outside number 1 wide receiver, but I actually have Duvernay as my 6th wide receiver on my board ahead of a lot of these guys that people like Jalen Reagor like Denzel Mims. The list goes on and on in this class, and I think Devin Duvernay is one of the best guys in this entire class. Definitely one of the safer picks at wide receiver in this class. If you need a slot wide receiver, if you need a playmaker, Devin Duvernay is the guy, early second round for me, and you might even be able to get him in the third, even fourth round based on how people are talking about him. So I'm very high in Devin Duvernay. Then number 4, Jack Driscoll, another guy that has been popping into my what I would do first round mocks. When I watched him play, I saw Brian Bulaga. He's a right tackle. He's got clean technique. I think his pass blocking technique is the best in this class, and I don't say that lightly. I feel very good about plugging him at right tackle day 1, early second round. If you had to take him in the first round because there was a run on tackles, I would get behind that. I feel very confident that he is going to be at least an average starting caliber right tackle as far as pass protection, which in this class, that might not sound amazing because it's such a good tackle class, but in years past, look at some of the tackles that have gone in the first round, and I like Jack Driscoll a lot more than some of these more recent first round picks at tackle. So I like Jack Driscoll. I don't know if he's ever going to be like an elite run blocker. That's kind of why the Brian Bulaga comp comes in here, because he's never been a great run blocker either. Kind of lacks some of that extra play strength to be a plus run blocker. But I am a huge fan of Jack Driscoll and the floor that he offers. Then number 3, we're getting into real sleeper territory. These next 2 guys didn't even receive combine invites, which was mind-boggling to me. Bryce Huff out of Memphis, one of the most productive pass rushers in college over the last 2 years. He is kind of a one-trick pony, but my comp for him is Bud Dupree, who was a first-round pick. Just that explosive power rush element. Flies off the ball, gets his hand inside, and is just a handful. I can't stop picturing this guy in the Baltimore Ravens, with the Baltimore Ravens, who value that power rush outside linebacker. You know, he could probably improve his discipline in run defense. He doesn't have too much of a pass rush plan. He's not an elite athlete, but I think from a power rushing perspective, he's one of the best guys in this entire class, and he's getting pushed into day 3 of this draft. I had him as a second to a third round grade before I noticed he didn't have a combine invite and everyone else was so low on him. So I lowered him a little bit, but I still have a third round grade on the guy. So I am a huge fan of Bryce Huff. And then the number 2 guy on this list, Jashawn Cornell, another guy I was really surprised, especially coming out of Ohio State when he had a really good year, that he did not receive a combine invite. Now, he really burst onto the scene, quite literally. He has outstanding get-off and burst from the interior defensive line. He burst onto the scene with Draymond Jones departing for the NFL last year, and he plugged right into that role, and Ohio State did not miss a beat from that kind of undersized, explosive interior pass rusher with Jashawn Cornell. He is a pass rushing specialist for an interior defensive lineman. You're not taking him day 1, even day 2 to be a starting like 3-down interior defensive lineman. Now, my comp for him is Denico Autry, who is that undersized interior defensive lineman, has been outstanding for the Colts after bouncing around a team or two, has found a home there, the team that understands how to use him. I think that's Jashawn Cornell, and Autry has actually developed into a 3-down beast. Somehow he's able to hang in there and defend the run well despite being 275 pounds. But, I think Cornell right away can come in on third down, sub packages, when you're not so worried about the run, and just ask him to wreck things. Just get in there, blow stuff up, cause mayhem on the interior, and maybe he does develop some of that discipline and pass rush plan over the years. But I think, I have a 4th round grade on this guy. You might get him in the 6th or 7th round, and you're getting an impact sub-package defender with a rare skill set with that get-off and kind of quickness and explosiveness on the inside. But all that said, he had some really good run defense reps as well. If he gets across that guard's face on certain plays, he will blow plays up. So I don't think he's useless against the run, but he will struggle with some of that play strength stuff. And then my number 1 guy here is Willie Gay, just because I think, my gut tells me he's going to be a 3rd round pick. We're going to be sitting here on YouTube, on Twitch, live streaming, who's going to do it? Who's going to take Willie Gay at the end of the 1st and the 2nd round? And no one's going to do it because he's got these off-field issues. Now, it only takes one team to pull that trigger, but I think he's going to be a 3rd round pick, I should say. And it reminds me of Tyreek Hill a little bit, falling because of off-field concerns. The thing with Willie Gay is his off-field stuff, it's not like Tyreek Hill where he had domestic violence issues. He just really struggled in school and I think cheated to get through school. I think, the reports are mixed. It's hard to say what it really was. He had a bunch of suspensions, but it was all academic related. I think he just was mixed in with the wrong people who were helping him cheat through school. He doesn't like school. He doesn't care about academics. That's fine. You don't need that when you're in the NFL. Maybe he'll struggle to pick up plays. Maybe he'll be a little bit of that Zach Brown who coaches don't really like because he kind of does his own thing on the field. Maybe that's Willie Gay, but his film is so remarkable. I think his instincts are great. He was consistent in coverage when he was on the field. I think you're getting a total steal in Willie Gay. I don't think you're getting a bad person either. There's no record of real criminal records of this guy. It was all academic stuff. So I do believe in Willie Gay, and I think he's going to fall to the third round, and whoever does take that chance on him is getting a total steal. So those are the top 10 sleepers in this class. Again, guys, 1,000 likes, I will do my top 10 busts or top 10 reaches in this class. Drop a comment below as well who you think the sleepers in this class are, if you think I'm too high on any of these guys. Until next time, cheers. We'll see you later.